Dinner looked like a magazine spread: roasted chicken, greens with lemon, two candles we never light on weeknights. Emily slid a plate toward me and smiled like nothing in the world could touch us. Book Club Friday, she said, sprinkling salt one-handed the way she saw on some cooking channel. It might run late. Don't wait up. My phone's been dying fast, so if I go dark, that's why. I set my fork down. That's so. It's 3 women and a bottle of Merlot. Tragic, she joked. You'll survive without me for one evening? Barely. She laughed, brushed my shoulder, and asked about the job site. I told her the contractor finally listened on the drainage issue. She hummed approval, put a slice of chicken on my plate, and reached for hers. Perfect evening. Perfect tone. Perfect marriage. If you'd walked in right then, you'd swear we were the standard. If I'd known where Friday night was headed, I'd have cleared the table with a trash bag. Mark texted the next morning. Coffee? We met at the corner diner after my early run. He's my oldest friend, works in logistics, has the same dry humor, doesn't waste words. He already had 2 mugs on the table. He didn't start with small talk. She asked me out yesterday. I stared. Emily. He nodded. Hit me with your fun. We should hang one-on-one, not tell Jason because you know how he is. How am I? Apparently jealous. He kept his voice even. I told her no. Clear no. Then I asked you to meet because that's what a man does. You sure you heard right? Word for word. I leaned back. The waitress rattled plates behind the counter. Somewhere near the register, a kid kept hitting the same song on the jukebox. I looked at Mark's face. He doesn't play games. Okay, I said. He watched me. You gonna explode or plan? I don't explode, I answered. We plan. He nodded once. Let's hear it. You tell her yes, I said. Not to take it anywhere, not to lead her out past some point. You know the line. Just enough rope. I'll be where I can see. We do this on her date of choice. And her birthday is next week. Ballsy. Efficient. I sipped my coffee. We know her style. She won't admit to anything unless the sun catches it. So we make sure the sun catches it at the right angle. Then I make a clean exit. No noise. He frowned. You still sure about it ending? I didn't answer fast. Mark, there's a difference between a stumble and a system. Inviting my best friend when I'm the one filling her gas tank and checking her tires? That's a system. He tapped the rim of his mug. I hate this for you. I hate messy endings more. I pulled out my phone. Starting today, I'm separating our calendars. Date night on Saturday becomes my gym session. Our joint card covers the house and groceries, period. Everything else is 2 lanes. If she asks, I'll call it a budget review. That your first move? First of several. I looked up. Text her. Pick Friday. 7 p.m. somewhere public. Keep it dry. Don't kiss. Don't let her corner you with silence. Hold the line. He typed. Done. The waitress arrived with our check and a tight smile. Mark slipped a bill under the saucer. I stood. Thanks for telling me before you told anyone. I wasn't going to tell anyone, he said. Good answer. He stopped me near the door. You sure you want to do this at her birthday party? That's a grenade. It's a mirror, I replied. I won't raise my voice. I'll raise facts. That's it. He held my eyes another beat. You call me in for the toast. I'll be there. Count on it. We stepped out into the morning. The air had that clean bite you get before noon in early spring. I pocketed my hands, did the math in my head, and smiled at the first clean plan I'd made in months. I cooked that night. Emily came in with a tote of flowers and the same loose ponytail she wears when she wants to look casual without trying. Budget meeting, she joked, seeing spreadsheets open on my laptop. Review, I said. House account for shared bills. Personal for personal. Starting now. She paused at the fridge. Okay, why the sudden structure? Smoother, I told her. No more confusion about who's buying what. She closed the fridge with a hip. You're not mad about something? If I were, you'd know. All right, Captain Order. She kissed my cheek. As long as you don't turn into a hall monitor. Not my style. After dinner, I told her I'd be at the gym Friday night around 7, then meeting a client for a site walk. She raised an eyebrow. On my birthday week, she said, teasing on the surface. Your party Saturday, I said. Friday's free. Book club anyway. She replied, like we were comparing calendars for tax season. We might actually read this time. We might. She poured 2 small glasses of wine. You're sweet to plan the party, she said. I saw the invite. You went big with the guest list. You asked me to. And you listen, she smiled. That's why we work. I clinked her glass. She turned up the music on low, swayed a little, then peeled 2 sticky notes from a stack and handed them to me. Groceries and decorations, she said. And please don't go for the tacky stuff, Jason. Wouldn't dream of it. We clean together. She hummed. On the outside, it was the same. Inside, I was charting exits and time blocks. The shape of our week shifted under her feet, and she didn't notice. That's the thing about comfort. People forget it's rented. Her hand brushed my back near the sink. I've been snappy lately, she said lightly. Work got weird. Sorry if I've been, She wiggled her fingers, implying fog or confusion. Noted. She searched my face. You're not going to tell me I'm perfect? No, I set a glass on the rack. You're human. Same as me. She leaned against the counter. I like you like this. Solid. I like you when you don't need me to be a cheerleader, I said. She rolled her eyes, then smiled. First faint softening. That's how it starts. Small apology like a tip left on a big bill. An hour later, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. Mark, she picked Friday. Wine bar on Maple. 7 o'clock. I texted back a thumbs up and set the phone face down. From the bathroom, Emily called. Can we get my phone plan upgraded this week? The battery is awful. And maybe some privacy settings. My sister's been snooping. We'll review plans Saturday, I said. No changes this week. And if you need privacy, to keep surprises from me before your party, save it for Saturday noon to 6. The rest stays normal. Fair. A beat. Fair. She answered, like she'd just agreed to a chore chart. I lay in the dark and stared at the ceiling, counting the steps between suspicion and certainty. I don't like guessing. Friday would end guessing. Friday night, I told her I'd grab food after the gym. She left in her black wrap dress. Don't wait up. She tossed over her shoulder, casual like weather. Phone might die. Of course. I parked 2 blocks down from the wine bar with Mark already waiting in his car. He looked at me through the open window. You all right? I'm here. I handed him a small lapel pin camera. Only use it if you need to document her words. I'll stay outside. My lens is longer. He stared at the pin. Man. No touching, I added. No flirting. If she tries, deflect. We're setting truth on the table, not writing a soap opera. You don't have to tell me. At any point, you can bail. I won't. He took the pin. Let's finish this clean. I positioned myself across the street at a cafe table with a cold coffee and a newspaper I had no intention of reading. The owner gave me a nod. I nodded back, angled my chair so I could see the front. At 6:58, Emily walked up the sidewalk, phone in her hand. The smile she uses on servers already warmed up. She paused near the door to fix an earring, texted, then stepped inside. Mark went in a minute later, shoulders squared, neutral face. From where I sat, I could see through the window. The place had wide glass panes, rows of bottles behind a long wooden bar, tables close enough for conversation. They took a two-top near the window. She leaned in immediately. Laugh ready. Mark ordered sparkling water. I took a photo. They talked. She reached across the table once to touch his wrist while she was making a point. I took a photo. He pulled back, polite but firm. She tossed her hair and talked again. I watched her eyes, bright, quick, not once checking the phone except to flip it face down. I took another shot of that. At one point, her expression sharpened, like she was testing. Mark kept it level. I saw her lips form the words, "Don't be such a Boy Scout," and watched him shake his head, then glance toward the window in a way only I would notice. Translation, lines held. My phone buzzed on the table. Emily's text, "Love you. Home by 10. I stared at the words, then back at the glass. Inside, she was leaning forward, fingertip making a lazy circle on the tabletop while she spoke. On any other night, anyone would call it harmless. Tonight, it wasn't. It was architecture. It was proof she could wear 2 faces at once and sleep fine. I took 3 more photos at measured intervals, each boring on purpose. 2 people at a table, water glasses, her smile. No fireworks. Just design. At 8:20 they stood. She hugged him longer than necessary. He patted her back and stepped out without letting it become something it wasn't. She watched him go, then checked her reflection in the window and left in the opposite direction. I took one last photo of her looking at her own face. Mark slid into my passenger seat 2 minutes later. She pushed, he said. I saw. I kept it above water. I know. He put the pin camera into my hand. I hate tonight. I do too. I placed the camera in the glove box. You did right. You going to tell her now? No. I'll tell her when an audience would prefer a cake. He exhaled. You sure about public? I'm sure about clean. We drove in silence for a few blocks, then pulled over near the copy shop. I went in, printed 4 photos in matte. Nothing flashy, slipped them into a manila envelope. Back home, I set up a small file folder on my desk. Photos, a simple agreement I'd had notarized months ago for unrelated reasons and now filled to the top. Instructions to close the joint account to household-only spend. New autopays. Logic is a blunt instrument when you hold it right. I took my ring and placed it in a dish by the bed. Then I moved to the guest room. No drama, just rearrangement. At midnight, Emily slipped in. She peeked into the guest room. Bad dreams? She asked. Bad schedule, I answered. I'm up early. She shrugged, too tired to dig. Tomorrow, don't forget the cake pickup. And grab ice. I nodded. She went to our room and closed the door softly. I sat on the guest bed with the envelope on my lap and felt something go solid in me, like a door ceiling. Saturday morning, she brought me coffee on a tray like we were at a bed and breakfast. You up? She asked lightly. I thought we could go over the party plan together. Do you want me to handle the speeches, or do you want to? Speeches? Not speeches, she corrected, laughing. Toasts. I figured you'd want to say something. I'll speak, I said. You're the birthday girl. She watched my face like she was reading a contract. Okay, you're being good, she said, as if that were a temporary condition. Thank you. I answered with a question. What time are your friends arriving? 7, she said. I invited Kara early to help with decorations. She wanted to know if you'll park a block away so the driveway looks clean for photos. If it helps the picture, sure. She set the tray down on my desk and put a hand on my shoulder. You're a good husband, she said like she was trying the words out on her tongue to see how they felt in the air. Let's keep it that way, I told her. We'll skip surprises going forward. If something comes up, we say it straight. I don't do well with hidden plans. Her smile tightened half a notch. It's a birthday. It's supposed to be fun. We'll keep it simple, I said. I tapped my calendar. I'll be out this afternoon to get some quiet. Back around 5 to set up. She blinked. You're not staying? I get more done alone, I answered. House account is public on the app. If you need anything, use it. I'm not adding personal spend from now on. That's behind us. Her eyes flicked to the tray, then to the door. All right. Second softening arrived at 4 p.m. I came back to the house with ice and paper goods. Emily was in the kitchen, hair done, dress on. She had a ribbon around a small gift box. I got you something, she said. Just because. You did. She pressed it into my hand. Inside was a new leather key holder with a tiny metal tag that read home. She smiled. So you stopped losing your keys, she said, like she'd solved a problem for us both. Thoughtful, I said, sliding it into my pocket. I knew what it was, sugar after a slap. A tactic. Too sweet, too late. She touched my arm. I know I've been distant, she said, eyes soft. This party is kind of a reset. I want us to be good. We can be respectful, I said. That's the reset. She looked at me for a long second like I'd spoken in a foreign language, then nodded slowly. Respectful, she repeated, testing the corners of the word. Kara arrived at 5:30 with a loud laugh and a bottle of something. She scanned the living room. Jason, move the coffee table, she said, like she owns the place. We need space for a photo wall. Ask Emily, I answered. It's her night. She kissed the air near my cheek, perfume sharp. Don't be stiff, man. It's a party. I glanced at Emily. She was placing candles and pretending to be busy. One thing, I said to Kara. Leave jokes about my job or my habits at the door. I'm not tonight's entertainment. Kara smirked. Touchy. Boundaries, I replied, calm. We good? She blinked. Fine. Geez. I shifted the table myself and went to the deck to set up coolers. I texted Mark, 7:30. Toast at 8:30. Stand near the dining room, left of the TV. He answered, I'll be there. Clean shirt. No drinks. I put my phone away and looked at the yard. It was just grass and a fence. Nothing poetic, nothing special. For years I'd thought the ordinary was safety. Turns out ordinary is where people write their best lies, because nobody bothers to double-check the details. By 7 the house had that party buzz. Music low, People hugging like they haven't seen each other in years though they were at trivia night 2 days ago. Someone laughing too loud at a nothing story. Neighbors came. A couple from Emily's office. My coworker Cal, who always wears boots to everything and says what he thinks without packaging. Emily worked the room like a cruise director, warm smile, light jokes, hand on a shoulder, eye contact just right. She was good at it. If you didn't know anything else, you'd think she was the blueprint. She got to me near the kitchen. "You're quiet," she said. "Watching the show. You okay?" "Fine. Make your toast at 8:30, she said. "Kara has a slideshow." "Of course she does." Kara slid by and grabbed a drink. "Jason, don't be a statue. Smile. It's a celebration," she said. "Of something," I told her. At 8:15, Cal clapped my back. "You look like a man who mailed a check and knows it'll clear," he said. "Something like that." "You good?" "I'm better than I was." He nodded. "Then do what you came to do." Emily took a photo in front of the makeshift backdrop. People cheered like she'd won a prize. She waved me over for one more picture. I stepped in, stood straight, didn't put my arm around her. If she noticed, she hid it. She squeezed my hand. "Don't be weird," she whispered. "Then don't make me pretend," I answered. She paused, then swiveled back to the crowd with the same perky tone. "Toast time." People gathered. I moved to the middle of the living room, glass in hand. Kara dimmed the lights slightly. The music lowered. Emily grinned at me. "My husband loves speeches," she teased to the room. "I love clarity," I said. A few chuckles. I let them settle. "Emily," I started, "you and I built a solid house. Not perfect, not fancy, solid. We worked jobs, paid bills, picked paint colors we both could tolerate. Regular stuff, right? The kind of life that looks boring on camera, but feels safe on Tuesday night." People murmured. Heads nodded. Emily smiled at the shape of the compliment. "I don't do long speeches," I continued. "But tonight deserves detail. Because detail is where truth lives. So here's some detail." Kara folded her arms. Emily watched me like a poker dealer waiting to see whether the next card busts the table. I went on. "Friday nights in our home. Lately, they've come with notes like 'Don't wait up' and 'Phone might die.' Harmless sentences. Good ones, even if you're actually at book club." The room shifted slightly. That collective micro-wobble when people realized the tone just moved. Emily's smile tightened. "Jason, if this is a joke." "It isn't," I said. I raised a hand. "Stay with me. We're all adults. We handle adult facts." Cal settled against the doorframe. The neighbor couple exchanged a glance. Kara rolled her eyes like she was about to interject. I cut her off without looking. "Friday at 7, I said. "A friend of mine was invited out for a one-on-one drink. He declined at first. My wife persisted. Someone near the punch bowl gasped. You could feel the room lean forward a half-inch. Emily's voice sharpened. "Jason, stop." "Not yet," I answered softly. I lifted my glass again. He told me. Men do that when they respect each other. We made a plan. A clean plan. He'd show up. He'd keep it above board. I'd watch from a very boring cafe chair across the street, pretending to read the paper. A laugh tried to escape a guest's mouth and died halfway. I turned to the dining room. "Mark," I said, "join me." He stepped out from the corner where I'd asked him to wait, shirt crisp, jaw set. The room inhaled as one. Emily took a step back like the floor moved. Mark stood beside me, hands visible, eyes on mine first, then on the crowd. "I got a message from Emily on Thursday," he said, voice steady. "She suggested we meet and not tell Jason." I told him. I went. She tried to make it more than conversation. I didn't let that happen. Kara barked out. "This is a stunt." "Kara," I said without heat. "It's a statement." Emily's cheeks flushed. "Jason, you're humiliating me." "No," I answered calmly. "I'm describing facts you hoped would stay private. There's a difference." I set my glass down, opened the manila envelope on the side table, and held up the first photo. Emily and Mark at a table. Water glasses. Her hand reaching across. Nothing salacious. Just two people sitting too close for what they were supposed to be. The room went quiet in the way a room goes quiet when people stop pretending they don't understand. I showed a second photo. Her phone flipped face down, her leaning in, smile just a touch too bright. Third photo. The goodbye hug at the door, his hands respectful and firm on her shoulder blades, not a millimeter below. "Stop it," she said, voice thin. "I am," I replied. Right after this, I set the photos aside, reached into the envelope, and pulled out the second item. You like gifts. So do I. Here's mine. I offered her a flat packet tied with a ribbon she'd used on the napkins. She stared, didn't take it. I set it on the coffee table. It's everything drawn up, I said. My signature's there. The logistics are neat. The house stays with me. The car stays with me. You can keep anything you brought and anything you bought yourself. The joint account pays this month's bills, and then it's for the mortgage and the utilities only. You'll find a key on top. It's to a storage unit I rented yesterday. If you need space for your things before you go, that's yours for the week. The air in the room turned heavy. People looked everywhere but at her. A neighbor coughed like a person trying to find a door. Emily shook her head in a small, disbelieving motion. You can't do this here. I'm doing it kindly, I said. No insults. No shouting. Just truth. That's respect, Emily. The respect I didn't get when you messaged my friend. That wasn't, she started. And then stopped, because anything she ended that sentence with would hang in the air like a child's excuse. You asked me not to make a circus, she tried again, voice hitching. I agree, I said, and I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. This circus has gone too far already. Let's end this circus, dear ex-wife. Someone dropped a plastic cup. It bounced once on the rug. I turned to the room. If anyone wants to celebrate my divorce, I'll be at the bar on Oak for an hour. Drinks are on me until the tab runs dry. Emily, please have your things packed and gone by the time I get back. If you need help moving, use the storage key. Kara sputtered. You're just going to throw her out? On her birthday? No, I answered. I'm making space for honesty. She can do whatever she wants with it. Kel stepped forward, touched my shoulder once. I'll walk you out, he said quietly. Emily stood there, eyes shiny, one hand half raised like she wanted to catch a word and put it back in her mouth. I didn't wait for the speech she was about to build. It would have been a combination of apology and accusation. I'm familiar with the structure. I looked at her one last time. We could have saved this by telling the truth when it mattered, I said. You didn't want the truth then. You want control. This house won't host it anymore. I set my glass on the table. The room parted. People suddenly remembered their shoes and their phones and the ceiling. That's the thing about witnesses. They know when to look away. I left with Mark and Cal. At the door, I paused, turned my head without turning my body. Lock up when you leave, I said to the room in general. I changed the codes this morning. And that was it. The bar on Oak was half full. Mark didn't drink. Cal had one beer he didn't finish. A couple of our neighbors came by in quiet solidarity. No celebration, not really. Calm. Clean lines. I paid the tab and went home at 10. The driveway was empty. The living room was neat except for the photo wall half taken down. The manila envelope was gone. In the kitchen, a sticky note sat on the counter with her handwriting. I'll sign. The guest room was untouched. In our room, the closet hung lighter. The bathroom lacked half its bottles. On the dresser, the key I'd left in the packet sat on a folded towel with another note. You made it easy. Good, I thought. That was the point. I slept better than I had in months. In the days that followed, we met once in a cafe to sign papers with a notary who didn't care why. No argument. No tug of war over couches or plates. She didn't try to pry into the house or the car. Maybe she was tired. Maybe she was calculating. I didn't waste time on the motive. I've learned motives don't change outcomes once you've closed a door. Kara unfriended me on every app one never check. A neighbor told me Emily moved to a one-bedroom on the other side of town, near a laundromat and a bus line. She keeps to herself, works, sees two close friends who were always in the know. The group photos stopped. The parties now happen without her or without me. I don't ask which. Work picked up. Cal threw my name to a client who needed someone who shows up on time and doesn't talk in circles. I bought a second-hand grill for the yard and invited 3 guys from the job site one Saturday. We ate steaks that were too thin and laughed about how all steaks are better thin when you don't pretend you're a chef. Mark and I set up a standing Tuesday lunch. We don't talk about that night. We don't need to. I keep a seat open for him on the deck and the understanding that if anyone hits his number with a private invite again, he'll say no and then say my name next. Sometimes I grab coffee with women from work or friends of friends. We talk. No momentum beyond conversation. It's good to remember I can enjoy someone's company without trying to make it a plan. I go home, open my own door, turn on my own lights, and don't check for anybody else's mood like it's a weather forecast. People ask if I miss her. I tell them I miss what I thought I was building, but I'm not building on sand anymore. My house is quiet. The keys on the hook say home in small letters, because small letters are enough. I don't need a parade. I need respect. I've got that now. If you want the romantic part, it's this. I walk into my kitchen, make one good cup of coffee, and drink it hot all the way to the end. No drama. No speeches. Nothing to hide. That's not a love song. That's a boundary. And for a man like me, that's better.